Hello, sports fans. My name is Mark Mortier from Yesterday Sports. You're about to jump into another thrilling sports history moment. But first, let's dive into today's sponsor, just in time for the holiday season. Introducing Art of Words, the brainchild of word artist Dan Duffy from Philadelphia. Dan meticulously crafts stunning images by hand writing relevant words from some of the greatest sports moments in time. These unique, budget-friendly illustrations are the perfect gift, sparking cherished memories and capturing hearts. Choose from city skylines, sports, history, and musicians to find a piece for everyone. And here's the exciting part. For that sports fanatic in your life, gift them a piece of their favorite team or player's history. Art of Words tells a compelling story. Explore collegiate stadiums, each meticulously crafted with every football victory etched in words. Or venture into baseball stadiums, handwritten with every player from the team's illustrious history. Don't wait. Order a print today for yourself and your loved ones this holiday season. Transform your wall into a gallery of captivating art and surprise your family and friends with a print of their own. Use code SHN15 at artofwords.com for a 15% discount on your order in November and December. Visit Art of Words, where words magically transform into stunning art, evoking cherished memories and touching the hearts of those you care about. Again, use the code SHN15 for 15% off at artofwords.com.
All right, welcome to the show, boys and girls. Back again. I missed the last couple weeks on Football Fridays just because we've been busy throughout the week the last 2 weeks. So today we actually were able to get one out, and put this banger out for you guys. We got some few things to talk about before we get to our football picks for the weekend. As always, make your bets smart, folks, but listen to this guy, all right? I know what I'm talking about a little bit. We are currently in our ESPN league that we're doing we're in the Swami's picks for football. We're 26-22 on the year through the first 3 weeks. You know, the Jets game, the Cowboys game, the Raiders game, and the Jaguars all screwed us over last week. So those are 4 losses. But hey, we got this week's picks in as well. So let's give a round of applause to Ronald Acuna Jr. for becoming the first player ever to hit 40 dingers and have 70 stolen bases in the season. As we can, just to put this in this perspective, he's batting .336 this year. He has 213 hits. He's walked 78 times. He's only struck out 82, which is kind of crazy for now, as we have power hitters that just, swing for the fence the entire time, which, hey, more power to you, Kyle Schwarber. Love you, baby. He's got 104 RBIs on the year. He does have a .414 OPS. Let's see. So now that he's joined the 40-40 club, let's talk about who's part of that 40-40 club. There's Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, and Alfonso Soriano. None of those guys ever stole more than 46 bases, nor did they ever hit 46 homers. More than 46 homers when they were doing the 40-40 club. Is Acuna going to hit 46 dingers? Probably not. There's only 4 games left for the Braves, and he needs about 5 dongs. 5 dingers. I shouldn't say dongs on the podcast. All sick-minded guys out there that listen to this thing. So he, I have a feeling that he'll sit and get a little rest since he has played in since he does have 634 at bats this year and has played in almost every single game. So he is one of only 3 players in Major League history to hit 30 dingers and have 50 stolen bases. The other 2 are Eric Davis and Barry Bonds. He's also the only player to hit 35 dingers and steal 60 bases. Also, this is his second time, or this is his first time actually in the 40-40 club, but this is the second time he's actually had a shot at it. In 2019, he hit 41 dingers and stole 37 bases. Now, I'm going to say this right now. If this guy isn't a unanimous MVP, there's something wrong, since we have a historic season with this guy. Now, there's a lot of guys out there who are saying, well, he stole 70 bases, but the bases are bigger and they can only throw over to first base like twice. So what? Like, baseball encouraged stolen bases with the rule changes. Baseball has encouraged the movement of the game with the pitch clock. Like, I think some of you old heads, and I'm going to call it the old heads on this, because you guys are the ones that are like saying, well, Ricky Henderson, Tim Raines, Vince Coleman, Kenny Lofton, all those guys would have like 5,000 stolen bases if they had these type of these type of rules. Excuse me, sirs, ma'ams, and anybody else that they're out there trying to set this up, but you realize that the average game length in the 80s and 90s was like 2 hours and 47 minutes. So that means pitchers weren't throwing over to first base 7 times in at bat, 8 times in at bat. They weren't stepping off the mound another 3 times just to hold the guy at first base. Because here's the deal. Analytics changed baseball. Once Moneyball came into play and we started talking about on-base percentage and how that's probably more prevalent than what a batting average is, or how well guys hit balls in play, like what their batting average for balls in play is. Like, we slowed the game down a lot because we're taking more pitches. We're seeing, I mean, Schwarber, even though he struck out over 206 times, he still sees almost 5 pitches in at bat. All right, so we're seeing more pitches at bat. We're laboring pitchers. Like, Framber Valdez threw 73 pitches through 4 innings this week. Like, we're seeing that. Okay, so in order to speed up the game, you have to dial some things back. Did they make the bases bigger? Yeah, they did. But that doesn't mean that the shortstop or the second baseman covering second base isn't allowed to block that somewhat of a play. Remember how you're all taught to block the bag. Let's go. Like, that's a thing that can still be done. That's not against the rules right now. Okay. You also have it to the fact of, if the pitcher throws over twice, then obviously the runner's going to know. But the 2 stolen bases that Acuna had this week against the Cubs, the pitcher didn't even throw over. He just outright stole them. Like, the catchers aren't, and see, and that's another real problem I have, because they're like, with the rule changes, well, first of all, Mike Piazza, considered one of the greatest catchers of all time, only threw out runners at like a 20% clip. Like, give me a break. Like, you don't have guys throwing out dudes like Benito Santiago from his knees. Like, you don't have that anymore. So maybe we should get our catchers to learn how to throw down to second base to throw guys out. Maybe we should do that instead of worrying about whether or not the guy's going to get an extra step because he can't throw over to first base that third time. Like, give me a break, boys and girls. Like, the man had 70 stolen bases and he hit 41 dingers. The man had a 336 batting average. This dude is playing out of his mind. And if you take away his ACL and also the COVID year, this dude has already eclipsed most Hall of Famers in his first 5 years. Okay? So let's give Acuna his due because the man is incredible. All right, he's definitely a 5-tool player that we all talk about, that we all thought Mike Trout would be. Like we we do this over and over and over again with something, 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 something. Always, it's always something. Well, if Jordan played in today's game, he'd put up 75 points a game, or if you know, because we lessen the defense. No, like the game evolved in basketball, just like the way the game is evolving in baseball. I understand change is hard for you guys. I get that because that's the thing. Is change is going to happen because all you guys that are old heads, like all the guys that were born in the 70s and 80s and came up in the 90s with the juniors and the Thomases and still live in those days, what's happening is you guys are becoming our parents and grandparents that still lived back in the 50s and 60s with the Koufaxes and the Williams and the Gibsons and how much better those guys were because they did this, and this. Like, no, they had a lower mound, and then they raised the mound, and they didn't. Oh well, they didn't have any arm trouble back then. No, nobody knew about it. You got to remember, Sandy Koufax, his first 6 years, he was a shit pitcher. Pardon my language, but he was an absolutely horrible pitcher the first 6 years, and then all of a sudden, they lowered the mound a little bit. And then he becomes an elite pitcher, and then he ends up retiring because of tired shoulderness. No, he probably had a torn rotator cuff, or I should say he retired because of a tired arm. Either he had a torn rotator cuff, or he had the UCL. You know, he had needed Tommy John. That wasn't invented yet because Tommy John didn't need Tommy John yet until the 70s. Like, and then y'all want to, and then another thing is, y'all want to say, well, all the guys in the late 90s and early 2000s were just using the juice. Like, okay, but Hank Aaron freely admits that he used amphetamines. Willie Mays freely admits that he used greenies. Like, give me it. You guys are either all in or all out on eras. That's all you can be. You guys can't be picking and choosing here. It does nothing for nobody. And all it does is it just lessens the what that era actually was all about. It just lessens the value of that. Like, and I get it. You guys are, living your guys' little bubble and all this and other stuff, but give the man his due. That's all I'm saying. I mean, because and again, back to him being MVP. Here's the deal. This is what's gonna happen. I can see it now because it happens every year when you have a really good team like what the Braves have. The Braves are running through everybody this year, but Matt Olson is also having a phenomenal year, leading the league in dingers, really high in the RBIs, got a pretty decent batting average, right? So what's going to happen is, Acuna, he was aided by the new rules, and that's why he was able to put up a 40-70 season. So we're going to give a few first place votes to Olsen, a few first place votes to Acuna, and then they're going to split that vote, right? So then what's going to happen is then you're going to have Mookie Betts in there, who, granted, had a great year. He has a higher WAR, which WAR is BS. Okay, as I've said, we've used WAR on this show before. We've used WAR before, but after I've dug into it, WAR it doesn't tell the story. You gotta still look at the stats. WAR is a nice. Well, yeah, it's wins above replacement. Okay, so this guy provided me an 8 extra wins. Well, he's provided 8.3. Acuna's provided 8.1. Like, give me a break here. All right, so you're gonna have Betts sneak in and probably end up winning the MVP award, which is ridiculous to me because Acuna is your MVP, hands down, no doubt about it. All right, then let's also, let's talk about how the Baseball Writers Association, and I'm one of them that gets things wrong when it comes to the Hall of Fame. However, I did do some investigating, and the committees have actually did more inductions into the Hall of Fame than what the Baseball Writers Association has had. It seems like the Baseball Writers Association has definitely vetted their folks that they put in, which I was quite surprised. Because I think with the Hall of Fame, as I went and visited this summer, it's not watered down, I would say. I would say there's a lot of guys in there that was put in there by their friends back in the 60s and 70s that probably don't deserve to be there. All right, Dave Bancroft of Sioux City, Iowa, probably doesn't deserve to be there, but apparently he was a defensive whiz back in the day. But he just happened to be also on the championship team of the New York Giants that he was the only member that wasn't in yet. So there's that. So maybe we should relook at some of the Hall of Fame guys. Maybe we should start putting guys in like, I don't know, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. Let's get over ourselves and let's start putting those guys in. Okay? Let's start putting Don Mattingly in. All-time Gold Glove winner at first base for in the AL. Keith Hernandez, put him in the Hall of Fame. Gold Glover. We've broke down both their careers on this show. They both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. All right? There's been plenty of evidence that shows those two guys deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, before the steroid allegations, or in Clemens' case, before the B12 shots, he was already a Hall of Famer. The dude had already had 4 Cy Youngs, my man. Like, again, let's get over ourselves, because that's what the problem is. We all are trying to expect these pro athletes to live to a higher standard of morals than we basically put them on a pedestal. I shouldn't say higher standard of morals than us, because I'm not going to go out there and do steroids, but that's just me, okay? I'm not going to go out there and pop some greenies, but that's just me, okay? I'm just saying, that's just my prerogative, all right? But let's not let's not say, well, these guys can't be in the Hall of Fame because they did this, this, and this. And when we have Hall of Famers that are in the Hall of Fame right now that have done this, this, and this, like, they've all done drugs, they've all done something. I mean, I was talking to my coworker Brett Flowers, who has a baseballreference.com page, because he's a former minor leaguer, played in Japan, played in the minor leagues, played at Cal State, played at the University of California, Santa Barbara, I do believe, or Sacramento, one of the two. Anyway, he's played, but been around future pro athletes all his life, growing up out there in California, all right? And he has said that no matter what, you have to be taking something to get yourself through 162 games. That's all there is to it. Like, guys are probably drinking 5-hour energy drinks before games. You don't think that, like, hypens your alertness? You do it on a Monday, bro. All right? So, let's not say, well, they can't use this or this or this. But when when the whole entire system was using it, and we know 80 to 90% of the players in the late 80s all the way through the early 2000s was using the juice. I mean, you had your few guys that weren't, and I get that. They were the clean guys, okay? But guess what? They'll won championships with guys that were juicing. I mean, we're not taking away Derek Jeter's 5 championships away. We're not taking Greg Maddox's multiple trips to the NLCS. We're not taking away the Braves' championship, because I can tell you for a fact, Ron Gatton was probably juicing. Look at this dude's arms, okay? And look what he used to be a skinny guy, and then all of a sudden, the dude becomes jacked like he's going to enter a bodybuilding competition, all right? I love Ron Gant, by the way. I actually, you know what? Here's a little fun fact for you. I'm a Cubs fan. Die hard, through and through. Bleed blue and red. I mean, not just because my blood's blue on the inside, and then when it comes out and hits oxygen, it becomes red. No, because I'm a Cubbies fan, all right? Cubs fan through and through. Been one my entire life. Born into it, okay? Born into this crazy fandom of Chicago Cubs, right? But the 90s Braves, I secretly loved that team. I would tell everybody I hated them, hated the Braves, but I secretly loved them. It's kind of like this deal. You know how in like the late 90s we had boy bands? You had NSYNC, 98 Degrees, LFO, um, let's see, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, LFO. I mean, Boys the Men, 112. Like, you had all these guys, right? And all the dudes were like, "Oh, I hate them, I hate them, I hate them." Right? I'm all into rap. I only listen to Eminem. That's all I listen to. I only listen to Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. I only listen to Biggie Smalls. Like, that's all I do. No, dude. No. Here's the deal. Your girlfriend's throwing on NSYNC or Backstreet Boys or the girl you're trying to get with back then, and guess what? You're jamming out to it because you deep down love that stuff. All right? You deep down need to be part of NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Just saying. Like that was, you had to look like, you had to get that look. Like you weren't, like if you guys were bleaching their hair to be Eminem and wearing white t-shirts and jeans and whatnot, but most dudes were out there getting their ears pierced, trying to grow a goatee, getting blonde tips because they wanted to be a member of the NSYNC or Backstreet Boys crew because they were getting all the ladies. Like that's how it was. So deep down, you were also learning their song so then you could serenade that girl as well. Just saying, my man. Like let's not get ahead of ourselves about what we dislike or hated back in the 90s. And I actually love the Braves. Just saying. Like even now, I secretly love the Braves. I will secretly, and this is just me being honest and coming out to you guys on this podcast. You know, the 15 to 20 of you that listen to this show. And deep down, the Braves are good, and the Braves are going to win a championship this year. Okay, so what have we learned so far? Well, we've learned that I'm an NSYNC fan, and if you didn't know that already, well, now you do. We also learned that I'm a Braves fan as well, even though I'm a Cubs fan, which those two things cannot go together, but they do. And it all started because Greg Maddux decided to jump ship. I'm telling you. It was because Greg Maddux was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to let my agent decide what team I'm going to play for because there's a $500,000 difference between the Cubs offer and the Braves offer, and I really don't care which one I go to. And, of course, his agent's like, you know what, you're going to go to the Braves. Then he goes and wins Cy Youngs, gets the NLCS multiple times, wins a World Series finally, you know. So there's all that. And yeah, so really it was Greg Maddux. Oh, and then it was also the Chicks Love Long Balls commercial, by the way, because here's the deal. Major League Baseball, when they do fun stuff, they're a fun league, okay? When you have the Chicks Dig the Long Ball, you had the Brizzo Company, like when they market their players, they do it in a fun way. And the baseball needs to do that more often, okay? That's what they need to do. Baseball needs to market their players more often, have it in a fun, lighthearted way. So with the rules changes, market your players, we can make baseball more than a $12 billion industry. Okay. Also, we were talking to this. I was talking with one of my buddies, the streams, Mr. Fallen Angel, 72282 on Twitch. Him and going back and forth. About how Major League Baseball regional TV deals are basically going to go away, which I believe they're already going to go away because of the fallout they've already had with the Fox Sports West and how they had to file bankruptcy and the Dodgers lost a crap ton of money. How basically all these regional sports channels are basically going away slowly and surely. So then MLB is going to actually have to do what the NBA and the NFL do, which is they're going to have to come to a table with ESPN, NBC, Fox Sports, and then tie down a league-wide TV rights deal, which that is going to be phenomenal. However, they're going to have to pay an abundance amount of money, and I don't think that's going to happen because, and then you got to split it up between all the teams, which you're going to have like a bunch of owners pissed off about that because they already don't like revenue sharing as it is because, the Angels or the A's. Sorry. Oh, and the Angels too. The A's and the Angels are two good examples of how they get revenue sharing and then don't put it back into the team. Just saying. So I think that's eventually going to have to happen. You're going to have to eventually pay for your Major League Baseball, which, hey, I have MLB the app, and I have T-Mobile, so I get free baseball all year long. And I also think with having a actual national media rights deal with the media companies, that you're going to open it up to where you no longer have blackout issues. I mean, you got to remember, I live 7-8 hours away from Chicago. I get a blackout from the White Sox and the Cubs. I live 8 hours away from Milwaukee and St. Louis. Blackout from both those teams. 6 hours from the Twins. Blackout from that one. 4.5 from KC. Blackout from that one. So I got, 6 teams that I'm blacked out from? Cool deal, bro. Thank you for showing up. Or 5 teams, I guess. So yeah, I think that's gonna go. I think blackout is gonna end up going away as well once you do get rid of those regional and local TV deals. I mean, the Cubs on Marquee. The only reason why they're blacked out for me is because Iowa borders Illinois. So, and that's really how basically they somewhat kind of base it off. Sometimes is what states border other states, which is kind of crazy. But then I know the guys out on the southeast, they're like, well, I live in North Carolina, but I can't watch a Orioles game. And last time I checked, North Carolina and Maryland don't touch. But whatever. That's not my problem. But I do think that's going to be a change as well. So there's my rundown of the baseball. Glad you guys had 25 minutes of that much fun. It was a real joy for me too. Now, let's get on the other news of the week. Let's get on the Damian Lillard trade. Dame Dollar, y'all. All right. He is getting traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. He's going to play alongside of Giannis Antetokounmpo. Whatever. Can never pronounce that as he's Giannis and also Chris Middleton. So Dame Lillard is now going to be the point guard of the Bucks. They still have a really good team. Just saying. The Bucks roster for the year is still going to be super solid. Okay. So you have Dame at your point, right? You got Giannis, Chris Middleton. You still have Malik Beasley. You still have Bobby Portis. Still have Brook Lopez in the middle. You still got Pat Connaughton. You got Robin Lopez is on the team now. Jeez, and I mean this team is still pretty solid, my guys. And don't forget they got Drew Timme. You know, the guy that played 7 years out in Gonzaga. That guy, yeah. So the Bucks are your team to beat in the East. I'm just saying. Now let's see who is all part of this trade. So the Bucks get Dame Lillard. Okay. Then you got the Suns trading away DeAndre Ayton and Toumani Camara. Okay. The Blazers also received Drew Holiday from the Bucks, plus an unprotected first-round pick, plus swaps in 28 and 30. That's not swaps of picks 28 and 30. No, that's swaps of 2028 and 2030. For anybody that doesn't realize that 2008 was 15 years ago. Just saying. And y'all probably think it was just a couple years ago. I know. Crazy times we live in. We got older. The Suns received Grayson Allen, Duke Chump, Keon Johnson, Nasir Little, and Yusuf Nurkic. Okay. So, does that make a lot of sense for anybody? To me, here's the deal. I think the Suns took a real loss on this one. But I also know why they did it. They had to shave salary. DeAndre Ayton is making $25 million a year. So you got rid of him. But I understand you got Booker, Durant, and Bradley Beal, right, on that Suns roster. But you don't have anybody to play down low, right? I'm not wrong on this, am I? The Suns don't have a center now that they got rid of DeAndre Ayton. I mean, that's just my thoughts on this. That they really don't have a center. I do feel like the I feel like the Blazers definitely did the right trade and got the most they could out of trading away their best player. And don't forget they still have C.J. McCollum as well. So I mean they're not really losing a whole lot here. So I'm looking at the Suns roster, and they got Bol for a center. They got Udoka Azubuike as a center. They got Nurkic. So yeah, and then Eric Gordon jumped from the Clippers to the Suns. That guy's he's no longer a good guy anymore in my book. As soon as you go from the Clippers to the Suns, but whatever. So yeah, so I think the Suns are definitely nuts for trading away DeAndre Ayton. Okay, so that's a bad deal. The Blazers roster definitely got better though. As much as I want to say it didn't, I also want to say yes it did. Okay, because you have what was Scoot Henderson, the number 2 or number 3 guy, right? Plus they got Chris Murray. I mean, these guys are some young dudes. Like, I guess, hold up. C.J. McCollum, okay. Where have I been that C.J. McCollum doesn't play for the Blazers anymore? Am I losing my mind here, folks? Did he go somewhere or what? Oh yeah, I guess he plays for the. When the hell did he go to the New Orleans? Was that last year? Am I like way behind on times here? Did I really? Oh no. Yeah, he went last. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind the times here. For some reason, I thought McCollum was still up in Portland. Okay, well, Portland is definitely young, and they're really gonna go after that first round pick again, I guess. Huh? No, I'm just kidding. Scoot Henderson, I think that young group can actually be something. And then you have Ayton as your center. Oh, man. Yeah, the Blazers are going to surprise some teams. I say they at least win 33 games. That's about right. I still think they can win 33 games. So, but the Bucks are the team to beat because there's no one else in the East that has anything like this. I mean, you got Jimmy Butler down in Miami. You got Jason and Tatum and Jaylen Brown out in Boston, but they don't have a third. You got right now Harden and Embiid, but Harden wants out, so there's that. So I'm definitely going to give a B+ grade to the Blazers for what they got in return. They did a really good job on this. I'm giving the Suns an F because they traded away DeAndre Ayton and no longer have a center. And I'm giving the Bucks a B on this because I felt like they gave up one too many draft picks. Just saying. Like, you got rid of some squad, but you shouldn't have given up. You should have only done one swap and not 2 swaps. So, that's how that works out. All right. So, now we got the basketball news down because basketball's right around the corner, boys and girls. It's fun time of year is right now. Yeah, football going on. You got hockey going on right now in training camps. You got basketball. It's going to be start training camps here in October. You got college football, which we haven't even gotten to the collapse of either the of what happened with Colorado this weekend against Oregon this last weekend, losing 42-6. We haven't even got to the Notre Dame can't apparently count past 10 for only having 10 players on the field for those last 2 plays against Ohio State and ended up losing. We're not even talking about how Miami beat down Denver 70-20, and then they had a chance to go for the record and you don't kick the field goal. I'm sorry. This isn't Pop Warner football, folks. We're not going to just turn the scoreboard off because we're 50 points ahead. Kick the field goal, make some history with you. Just saying. Okay? I mean, we're not talking about I haven't even talked about the Cowboys, how they imploded against the Cardinals and then they want to say, well, we didn't have Diggs. Like, excuse me, your defense didn't even show up. So, whether Diggs is there or not, your defense still didn't show up. All right? Because you should not have lost to the Arizona Cardinals and Josh Dobbs. Just saying. I mean, the Jets are definitely in a free fall right now because of everything. So, yeah, this is give up on Zach Wilson. He's got to be like dating the owner's daughter or something. I know he's into moms, but maybe, just maybe, he's dating someone's daughter that's in the organization at this point. So that's where I'm at in this lovely crisis of times. The Raiders, I don't know as a Raiders fan, I don't even know what's going on with the Raiders right now because we shouldn't have lost to the Steelers. I mean, Davante Adams has a game and a half, but the problem is we have Davante Adams sprinkled in with Jacoby Myers, sprinkled in with Josh Jacobs. Like, we're not even using our full offense, so that's a little disturbing. The Cubs, was in first place in September, or not first place. They're a game and a half back of Milwaukee at the first week of September, and now have almost fallen out of playoffs. Well, actually, they are out of the last wild card right now because Miami holds the tiebreaker. So that comes to fruition for what Cubs actually used to stand for back in the day when I was growing up. Which Cubs stands for, if you don't know this, completely useless by September. Just saying. Okay. So, so we got, what do we got this weekend? We got USC, Colorado. Yeah, Colorado's going to get blown out again, but then I don't see them losing any games after that. We got, what else is what's on the old college football schedule for all you football heads out there that we love? I love all you football heads. I'm not, like, I like football. I like football. I mean, I'm just not a huge football fan. Here's the deal. If someone says, "Oh, you can't watch football for the rest of your life," and I'd be like, "Okay, thank you very much. I guess there's that." One last thing from this last weekend is how Iowa got blown out by Penn State, 38-0. Oh, 31-0. Sorry, 31-0 this last week. So there's that as well. That Brian Ferentz is on his way out the door, maybe for all you Iowa fans out there, which I don't know how many Iowa fans actually listen to this podcast because it's baseball and basketball. But we're trying to sprinkle in some football. We're trying to go back where this podcast used to be about, which was, I'm going to sprinkle in some sports history in here. But when I first started this thing, I was like, we're going to talk about all the sports, right? So I did a racing podcast. I did this and this and this and this. And this just got a little bit too much, right? So then what I decided to do was like, you know what? Let's just do some sports history because I'm a history buff and I like talking sports history. Well, as I've reflected on that, I'm like, I don't think we should make the whole show about history. I really think that we should just sprinkle in everything because my ADD kicks in and sometimes it just doesn't feel like it is being taken care of. I don't have those dopamine hits that I need. So that's where we're at. And I just need to do something like this isn't a job. Like, I know some people out there are like, oh, you got a podcast, that's your job. I'm like, no, podcast is my side gig. I don't, unless you guys, it's just for me to talk about my sports stuff, talk about, my opinions. As everybody knows, it started off a whim, a phone conversation with my brother-in-law, and has gone from there. So we've been at this for a year and almost 9 months now, and we're making good headway, but I just really need to be more consistent. And the only way I can be more consistent is if I expand back to what I originally was planning on with this podcast, which is to open it back up to all sports. So I'm still hesitant on doing interviews because I don't like talking to people a lot. I like talking like I should say, I like talking to people. I just don't like interviewing people. That's my problem. If I can get somebody on here that just comes in and just starts talking, and we have a conversation back and forth, then that's great. But I don't want to have someone in here and like sit down and have to figure out, oh, this is the topic we're going to talk about. No, because my ADD doesn't work that way. By the way, it's unmedicated, so if anybody is out there then knows me, that's why I'm kind of loony sometimes. Just saying. So anyways, back to what's on for the college football slate this year now that we're off my tangent. We got a great Friday night game. Utah-Oregon State. That's a Pac-2 rivalry right there and I say Pac-2 because Utah is going to join the Big 12 next year, and Oregon State's staying in the Pac. So there's that. On Saturday, what do we got for Saturday? We got USC Colorado at 11. That's going to be the noon Saturday squad with Urban Meyer and all those crazy guys on Fox. We got, who else we got here? We got Georgia Auburn. We got Michigan Nebraska. We got Texas Kansas. That looks good as a top 25 matchup, but Texas is just going to blow them out. So there's that. Let's see. Oh, hey, we got UNLV Hawaii. Let's not blow that UNLV. By the way, if anybody don't know, my college football team is UNLV. Trust me, I know. I know. Everybody's out there like, damn, Chad, do you ever pick a team that wins? And I'm like, no, I don't. You know why? Because I like the pain of losing. That's why. It's just there's something there for me that just accentuates. I just like the pain of having my teams lose all the time. But every now and then, I'll jump on a winner. And, I do follow Alabama football, all right, because they're my SEC team. See, back in the day, before we had super conferences in college football, you could pick a team from every conference and didn't have to worry about them playing another team in another conference. So, like, my Big 12 team was Nebraska. Big 10 team, Iowa, because of family. And, yeah. And Nebraska was because of Tommy Frazier, Lawrence Phillips, Irving Fryer. Like, those guys were kind of awesome. All right. Then you had then it was the WAC and not the Mountain West. It was UNLV. My aunt lived out in Vegas, so went with the UNLV team. Pac-12 team, USC, baby. All right. And then you got the ACC, Miami. All right. Well, actually, Miami was in the Big East. So then your ACC team is Florida State. Can't have those two things the same, but I do. And, who doesn't love the U? Also, it's another little strange bit. As a guy that liked Nebraska, you really couldn't like the U at the same time either, because that was a big rivalry in the 80s. Just saying, for all you guys out there. But I did. You know why? Because of the swagger. See, here's another thing that, if you guys don't know me, I like guys that show up a little, I wouldn't say cocky, because to me, it's just confidence, baby. It's just confidence with a little bit of arrogance. And that's how I live my life, is a little confidence with a little bit of arrogance. And I feel like, me liking guys like Keyshawn Johnson, just give me the damn ball. Randy Moss, just throw me the rock. Guys like Deion Sanders, drawing dollar signs in the batter's box. Let's see, Michael Irvin, like, those are the guys that I wanted to be a prima donna, because everybody says wide receivers and cornerbacks are prima donnas, and yeah, that's what I wanted to be when I grew up. So far I haven't got there. So far still haven't figured out what I want to do when I grow up. So there's that as well. Another good matchup so back to the college football slate. Another good matchup I'm going to say is LSU Ole Miss. I really think Ole Miss can pull that off at home. So that'll be a good game. And that's on at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central. This could be a really good game on ABC on Saturday night. Notre Dame and Duke. That could be a fun time. Let's see. You got Iowa, Michigan State. Michigan State's in turmoil. You got Alabama, Mississippi State for an 8 o'clock game. And there's not really anything. Oh, hey, a good late game matchup could be Washington and Arizona, but I think Washington just blows them out. So there's some of the few highlights for college football. So, and also if you want to watch tonight on you're not going to watch tonight because when I'm recording this, it won't be posted until after this game. But just throwing it out there. Temple Tulsa is on Thursday night, 6:30. Go Tulsa! Thank you. All right, now let's go to the NFL slate, shall we? Let's go. What's going on with the NFL slate this week? All right, you got you had the Lions and Packers. Hopefully, Lions win. Was saying you got the Falcons and Jaguars, and I think the Falcons, just coming off, being 2-1, I think that they beat the Jaguars because the Jaguars look like they're in disarray after they lost to the Texans. Miami goes up to Buffalo, and Miami's on a different level right now than anybody else in this world, so Miami gets the win. And then you got the Toilet Bowl, Super Bowl of the year that nobody really wants to watch. Not even the two fan bases probably want to watch this game. But you got the Broncos and the Bears at Soldier Field. So I think Russell Wilson and Sean Payton finally get a win because Justin Fields hates his head coach. So, yeah. Then you got the Ravens, Bengals, Titans. I was actually shocked at how well Joe Burrow played on a calf injury. I was saying up to that week that he was not going to play. And then he goes out there. I mean, he only put up 8 fantasy points, and thank God I benched him. Otherwise, I would have lost. But he went out and played and did good. So, more power to Joe Burrow. Also, you got the Rams, Colts. I'm thinking the Rams bounce back and beat the Colts. Okay. Let's see. You got the Saints, Buccaneers. Saints, Dennis Allen apparently has his defense on lockdown right now, even though they did lose to the Pack. Eagles, Commanders. For anybody that doesn't know, that's the Washington Commanders, which I think is the dumbest team name that you could have picked. Should have went Red Hawks, because then you could have still used the feather on the helmet, you dumbass. So there's that. Vikings, Panthers. Vikings finally get a win. A battle of 0-3 teams down in Carolina. Vikings finally get a win. The Steelers, Texans. Steelers continue to look. Kenny Pickett looks like he's winning the MVP. Just saying. You got the Chargers, Raiders. As bad as the Raiders look, going Chargers. Cowboys, Patriots. This could be a toss-up, but we'll go Cowboys. Let's see. They're at home. We'll see what that happens. Niners, Cardinals. Maybe this week the Cardinals go. They're not the Cardinals. The Niners go for 73 against the Cardinals. And then the late game for 7:20 on NBC Eastern or Central Time, 7:20 Central Time. You got the Chiefs, Jets, which I'm pretty sure they made that game that time because they're like, oh hey, Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, and then Aaron Rodgers' career with the Jets lasted. Or the season with the Jets lasted 4 plays. So there's that. And then you got Monday Night Football. Oh, by the way, we're going Chiefs against the Jets because, yeah. And then you got the Seahawks and Giants. And we're going Giants at home against the Seahawks. So there's your football picks for the week. USC is going to blow out Colorado. Just saying. And y'all have a great week. And golf season's over, so guess what? We can actually make podcasts now. So, golf league. My golf season doesn't end for another month, But thanks for all for showing up. Thank you all for coming out. Love every one of you. Appreciate you listening. I went on a 47-minute ramble, but you guys enjoyed it. So, tweet me, TikTok, message me, whatever. Find me on Twitch, because we're doing gaming, streaming it again, and we're going live soon. So, y'all have a great time, great week. Love ya. See you back in here next week, boys and girls, for Football Friday.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, aka the Football History Dude, and I wanted to thank you for stopping by to listen to another episode here on the Sports History Network. Our podcasters are passionate about uncovering and sharing sports stories from yesteryear. And if you didn't know it already, we have over 30 shows across the network covering all sorts of sports history topics. In fact, here's a glimpse into one of our awesome podcasts here on the network.
The Pigskin Tales podcast is all about the lesser-known pro football players. Yes, there are stories about the ones we know, like Brad Tarkenton and Harold Red Grange. But have you ever heard of Ernie Nevers? How about Dave Osborne or even Grady Alderman? These men created their own path to the NFL. How did they do it? Listen to the Pigskin Tales podcast, now streaming on your favorite music platform. Go to pigskintales.com.
How about that? I bet you're super hyped to go listen to that new podcast, right? Well, to learn about this show and all the other podcasts on the network, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com/podcasts. Again, that's sportshistorynetwork.com/podcasts. Head over there today to find your next favorite sports history podcast.